What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the video version of the Tone Mob podcast. This week, I am talking to my friends James Bowman and Frank Iero. Frank is in a little band you probably have heard of called My Chemical Romance, and James has a company called Bowman Audio Endeavors where he makes incredible pedals, and he's also played in a band called Against Me, which I'm guessing you've probably heard of as well. Anyway, these guys are rad, and they made a pedal for Frank. This is the Bellyacher. We get into it very in-depth on this episode. You're gonna learn everything about it, and you're gonna want one, if you like rock and roll and things like that. But we also get into just hyper guitar gear nerd territory. We talk about Frank's rigs on this massive tour they just did. We talk about how he started to dip his toe into the digital world, but came back to the light, came back to the analog realm with tube amps. It's really, really great. We get into vintage guitars. We talk about James and how he almost had a signature Gibson. It's all guitar nerd on this one. I think you're really, really going to enjoy it. These guys are absolutely awesome, and you're gonna want to check out this pedal. Go to BowmanAudioEndeavors.com. The link is down wherever the words are. Go check it out. It's very, very cool. I'm gonna do a little sound clip myself, so check that out on Instagram or YouTube Shorts or whatever. Anyway, that's enough plugging. Let's get into this conversation already. Let's go. Did throw me off there. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, a show about guitar stuff occasionally, sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have returning two fine gentlemen, Frank from My Chemical Romance and James Bowman from Against Me and Bowman Audio Endeavors. What's going on? How you guys doing?
Nothing much, man.
Well, you guys have both been on the show independently many years ago, so it's nice to, return.
Was it years ago? How long ago was it?
I think you were maybe 2018 or 2019.
Wow.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like that long ago, but time is a construct in a flat circle or whatever.
Yes. What's funny is I think I was supposed to be on directly after my last appearance, but I just was been trying to figure out this application that you sent me to get on. It took me that long to figure out to download that to my phone.
I'm so sorry. I make things so hard for you guys. I'm sorry.
We get it. You like to record. You like diodes. I get it.
Yeah, this is the germanium application. Don't you guys know? Yeah. It's got germanium diodes in it, which is all the rage these days. But you guys are on not for no reason. Obviously, we're gonna go dive right into it. We've got you got a pedal coming out.
I know. Yo, look, I got one too.
Well, hey.
Hey.
Oh, you just got water? Oh,
sorry. Yeah.
What do you make them or something?
Yeah,
how did this happen? Tell me about it,
James. Well, James, all right. I'll start. James makes some of my favorite pedals of all time. Stuff that's well, I'm serious. What you want me to you want me to lie? No, I have basically. I have his stuff all over all my boards. So the idea came up. He's been developing different types of pedals and stuff like that. And he was like, "Hey, do you want to make something together?" And this is he's like, I want to do like a new distortion pedal, and this was something that we worked on together, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
That's it. Wow, just bam, done, ready to go. Yeah, it sounds great. I think I sent James a clip as soon as I got it, plugged it in. Was like, wow, rock and roll just came out of it. And it doesn't sound at all to me like what James was explaining to me it was based on. So I don't know if you want to get into that. Like, what did you do specifically for all the hyper nerds out there?
Yeah, well, it kind of started as like a discussion of favorite pedals and stuff. And both of our favorite pedals is a Civil War Big Muff. But the problem with a lot of Big Muffs is that, once you click it on and you get it sounding good, the volume decreases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it started with just trying to make basically just a Civil War Big Muff louder, which we did. but then it was like, well, how can you expand upon that and make it a little different, you know? So I messed around with a few ideas and broke most of them, as I do. And I got a little help from a friend named Steve Dimadash, who kind of sorted out some bugs for us and bounced a few ideas back and forth. And then we landed with this. And so it kind of started as a Big Muff and just kind of became its own thing, which is cool. Like it still does the Big Muffy kind of thing if you want it to, but I think it does a lot more, and I think it sounds pretty damn good.
It definitely does a lot more. Absolutely, yeah.
I didn't even get that fuzzy doom, single note stuff out of it, and it doesn't squash your tone. But at the same time, too, like you can get like you were saying, like a rock and roll type vibe, and it is very much its own standalone distortion pedal.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's really great. I'm excited to put out the video and all that jazz when the time comes. When is the time for all the listeners? Because I'm sure they're wondering.
Ooh, it is the 30th of August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
15 days.
Jesus. Yeah. Yes. From today. Whoa. When's this coming out? Are we live?
We're not. Oh yeah, we're live streaming. I didn't tell you guys we're live streaming this. Well, we can talk about that when it could come out Monday. It could come out whenever you guys want it to come out. We'll figure that out after the show.
Deal.
Yeah. But kind of segueing to a little different subject, Frank. Like since you and I have talked, I've watched the posting, and then I've watched you live as well. Your ever expanding guitar collection, and I'm seeing some Novo action in there. I'm seeing a lot of stuff that I think people might be a little bit surprised to see. You really expanded out over the years. So, where's your brain at with that these days?
It's funny, man, because I feel like
I would like to know this too. Yeah, where's your brain at?
Well, I feel like, and this can sound a little bit like like hocus pocus, but I feel like every guitar has like a soul. Every instrument has a soul, right? And when you put it in your hands, like it should make you play differently and want to play differently. Even if my wife asked me too, like, why do you have so many of these? Like,
that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well, if you go into a room and you got a bunch of stuff that like just isn't attractive and doesn't make you want to play it, you're not going to sit down and play those guitars, right? Mm-hmm. But if you walk into a room and you're like, oh my God, like, look at how beautiful that thing is. Look at just the shape of the body, or like the patina on her, or like the wear, or the way that neck looks, or how small it is, or how wide it is. Like it makes your hand do different things. Like you're going to sit down and you're going to start playing a different way. And I feel like for me, I think it's also why I have so many different musical projects, is because I don't like that idea of having like a stall, right? Or like a writer's block kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so if I do, I'll either jump ship to a different instrument, or I'll jump ship to a different band and start to work through it that way. And then inevitably, if I can get out of that stall, it opens doors all around, Mm-hmm. So like, I mean, I'm very much.
What are you looking at? Yeah.
Well, actually, you've been away, so you haven't seen this one. This one's kind of sick, man. Hold on.
All right, here we go.
Yeah,
I love this. This is so much fun.
So this is a 64. It's a refin, but it's been stripped on the body. But then the actual headstock is still that Alpine white, which is kind of or Olympic white rather. The neck on it is insane.
Wow.
It has, I don't know, this flat playability, but the back, I don't know, it just it's worn in all the right ways, so it's a fast player, and she sounds amazing too. So you're gonna, James, when you get home, you have to get your hands on this one, man. Yeah. Awesome. So this is a newer one, new to me, really.
Right.
But yeah, there's a bunch of Novos in the mix. The Novos have this almost this warmth to them. Mm-hmm. Then I get they can growl when you want them to, but it's this low end, like under your balls growl, and and you know what I mean. Listen. When you're on the free fall and that feeling, you know where that feeling is? It's there, right? Yeah. So it's there, and it can kind of like come up from underneath you, and also can get really nice and sweet and warm at the same time. So those types of guitars I love for certain things. There's about 2 or 3 of them in the MyCam rig right now. Because we're gearing up to do some Black Parade stuff, and I thought that, you know, for like songs like I Don't Love You, songs like even like Famous Last Words, where you need a little bit more of that low end, like those types of guitars are where I want to be. Yeah. But then there's, you know, the long scale Jag that Fender built me, that, man, she's a workhorse and she just wants to do everything, you know.
It's beautiful too.
Yeah.
Oh,
really.
Yeah. I was just drooling all over my phone. Like, look at that thing. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. That one too, though, like that one has like a bit of a history too, right? Because so Mike Adams, our friend, had found this guitar that's like a 65, right? I think or 66 so, yeah. that he found in a basement somewhere and rescued. And he called it Pancake. And Pancake is one of those guitars where like he'll bring it out. It's almost like if you ever go on tour and you have like those like adoption days, like where they bring these puppies, like he'll bring it out to tours and let you play it. So like, you know, bring a smile on people's faces if they've been on tour for too long. And so when you pick up Pancake, that's like that's a special guitar. Like the way it feels, the way it's weighted. Again, there's just a soul to it that you can kind of exudes off that instrument. And so when I saw Dennis's build, I wanted to copy the neck from Pancake. So Mike brought Pancake down to the Fender factory, and they scanned the neck and reproduced it exactly for that guitar.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. That's awesome. So cool. That's so cool. Incredible.
Yeah, those guitars are great.
Speaking of Mike, though, this is a Mike right here. This was Vader. This was his.
Oh yeah. I don't think I realized you ended up with that. I remember that when it was his. Wow.
You know, there's certain real, like, to me, like there's like those famous ones out there that like I drool over, and somehow, some way, sometimes they end up in my possession. And I feel like I'm just like kind of like I keep them safe for like, you know, for future generations to eventually have. But yeah, this is Vader.
Nice. Wow. Well, gotta love a murdered out jazz master. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So James, you're still on tour right now. I assumed that when we were talking about doing this episode, but I was like, is he done? Maybe he's home now. I don't know. I can't keep track.
I saw you like 6 weeks ago, and I'm.
Oh man, Mike better bring Pancake out for you.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm still out with Coheed and Cambria and Primus at the moment. Couple shows left. Have a day off in Richmond. So that's why it looks like I'm in a hotel, because I am in fact
in a hotel. I see. Well, you know, that it could be worse, right?
I don't have a plethora of awesome things behind me. There's a lamp. That's kind of cool. There's a stack of fake books in the corner.
They're fake books?
Fake books?
It's like, I don't know if you can see them. They're right there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Those are fake books. That's great.
Yeah. You know what that means? That's an expensive hotel. That's what that means.
But there's some awesome posters on the wall. And I'll just turn around.
Okay. What do we got here? Oh, actually really cool posters.
Yeah, Fire Hose. Yeah. And then I think that's like a Nation of Ulysses poster up top. Yeah. Kind of cool.
Stuff. It is.
Do you guys ever see the Makeup play?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So good. Sorry. All right. Sidetrack.
Hey, sidetracks are what we're all about here, for sure. So when you guys, going back to the pedal a little bit, because this just popped into my brain. When you guys were working on it, what kind of rigs? I mean, obviously you were each playing your own thing while you were developing the pedal. Mm-hmm. What kind of rigs were you testing it through? And like, what were you trying to make it work with as many things as possible, or was there one specific like rig that you play, Frank, or what were you? What were
That's
you guys
a really
using?
good question. So for me, I enjoy using like the Fender Twin. 65 reissue. That to me is in every rig that I use. It reads pedals really, really nice. I feel like it's a great amp on its own, but also if you really want to know what a pedal sounds like play it through that amp. I think they're pretty clear readers. Mm-hmm. So that for me was a big deal. And then when I go through in the MyChem rig, it's that, as well as there's a Fender Tone Master, the 90s version, and the Marshall Super Lead Dookie Mod.
Cool. Oh yeah.
So I was testing mainly on like a JMP as like the tube platform for everything, and then I have a Kemper that has a bunch of models of Frank's stuff in it. So it was able to kind of track that way and see how it reacted to a whole, catalog of different amps. So there's models of his stuff on there. There's some models of mine. There's some, like even like a VH4. It's like, oh, what does this sound like? What does this sound like through a 5150? So it's just kind of like a pretty wide array of everything just to see. And then, even putting it on a pedal board with like a different Big Muff circuit that I messed with early on in building, and seeing how it compared with that. And then, even I think I had like a Marshall Shred Master, like an old 90s version of that on there, like kind of like comparing and contrasting there to when it started to kind of, drift over to the more distortion-y side of things. And away from the more like woolly fuzz sound, but yeah.
Yeah. First thing I played it through was a Rev G20, which is very different than any of those. But I did have it on the lower gain settings, and it's normally just a high gain Chugmaster. And so that track I sent you, James, was actually, that's what it was through. It was through the G20, which is becoming a little bit more of a go-to for me these days than I would have expected something that this high gain to be. But so far, I've played it through that, played it through my Bensons, and so I think we've like covered most territory between all of us at this point. I think we can.
Yeah, it seems to respond pretty well to pretty much everything, and just having the volume boost at the end there, like the little recovery stage, kind of helps, even out any discrepancies there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
I think that's it was one of the most important things that we like wanted to achieve when going into this pedal, was that it plays well with others. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like like, oh great, this works only on its own.
Right.
It's like, oh cool, I got another like just recording pedal.
No,
you want it to be stage worthy and something that you don't have to put too much in order to make it sound great.
100%. Yeah. So the MyChem rig. So you mentioned that a couple times. I noticed you did like, I don't remember, 6 guitar changes or something during the set, and every one that came out, I was just like, oh yeah, look at that.
James's eyes go over like it was like a war story that he was trying to.
Huh? 6. Did you go to the bathroom for a while, or
no, honestly, I was a little bit out of my mind. I was having so much fun at that show. My wife can attest to this. I was losing my mind. Like I was up there, I was rocking out. Like it was awesome.
Honestly,
so
that was the goal, though, was like to make sure everybody was having like a really great time, and then secondary, like to see how many guitars I have. Just like.
There was like an auxiliary vault of guitars that were like, oh, maybe we could swap out one of those for a day or two.
It's always fun, man. That's the thing,
That's pretty rad.
I love that. Like, I love going to see what people are playing, Especially if there's like there's those classic guitars that like you imagine with someone you want to see. Like if you see Green Day, you want to see Blue, right? You know what I mean? You want to see that guitar change. Or at least, I don't know. I think you do. Or is it just me and you guys?
No, I know. I do.
Yeah, you want to see that. Right?
We're all nerds. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you want to see these certain guitar changes. Like, I want to see Billy Corgan playing a Strat or, like, whatever. But there's also these other guitars that bring out that are just, near and dear as well, that maybe other people don't know about, or some people in the audience are like, oh, my God, that's a fill in the blank. And And those are always, if you're having fun up there, then it translates. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
I get to play them all day too, so I'm happy.
It works for everything.
Yeah.
So, but my question going into that was, as many guitar changes as there were, were you also switching out signal chains depending on what you were playing, or were you pretty much just plugging in and going the whole time?
No, yeah, we're plugging in and going. Here's the thing: every song though would have its own patches, right? So we really, I think, took a long time dialing in certain tones for certain things, and we had a lot to go through. I mean, there was like
well, the rig changed like twice or maybe more before it became like settled, because it started with Kempers, and maybe a twin, and then it moved from like one Kemper and then a twin and like the super lead, like the mod, and then I think one day we were like eating lunch and you're like, well, what happens if like both Kempers break? And I was like, well, we don't have any more. So, if they both break, then you're just like, we're not using them.
That's the thing. I think that the Kemper is a great idea on paper. You know what I mean? Like, I love that you have the ability to say model like your vintage amps, and then you don't have to like travel with them. They don't have to go through all that wear and tear, and that's really awesome. So that's what I was originally thinking. But then when I got to it, I was like, oh man, like if that goes down, like we have nothing.
Yeah,
like,
we have nothing.
You can't make a sound. Like that
mouth guitar, you're gonna be like, wow, wow.
Yeah. So I was just like, you know what, man, I don't think I want to do shows with these, for lack of a better word, fake amps. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
the internet got mad at me when I said that one time.
You got fake amps?
I said I was playing through a fake amp. I was using a plug-in. I was like, this is the best fake amp I've ever played through. And people got mad. They were like, it's not a fake amp. I'm like, well, it doesn't exist.
It's not
outside
a real
amp.
So yeah.
I mean, listen, I think they serve purposes, right? Like, I have one right here on my desk. It's awesome for when I'm demoing and playing stuff through my computer and stuff like that. Like, there's so much you can do with it, but there's also so much you can with it. You know what I mean? Especially in the heat of the moment at a show or something like that. Like, if something goes wrong, sometimes you're not always thinking like, oh, I have to go to this menu to change it. Like, those things happen. And that's to go back, like, I've always said this because my dad will always say, like, you practice to get the songs down, but you also practice so much so that when something does inevitably go wrong on that stage, you don't have to worry about, okay, I know what to do here. Like, you don't freak out. That's that's like what the bulk of practice really is. Mm-hmm. So in doing that, like, I just felt like we have these amps, let's bring them, and so we changed it out, and they're all real world amps. I don't know. How do I not get in trouble? Like, I could show they're tangible amps. Like, I
can touch them. They exist outside of ones and zeros. Yeah, exactly.
And then, so switching over to, like tube amps and having those, and then kind of integrating in like the RJM, like MIDI controlling for switching pedals. That's where we landed. And then it was having everything by me, like off to the side in a rack, just with a controller. And, so any number of combinations of amps and pedals in any different, order, that's how we kind of got around all that. And especially building, like, it's pretty in depth, the amount of tones and just like really specific tones for certain parts, even if it's for like one note, like there's like this one note in this one song that needs to ring out and have this going. And it was, so it was really helpful to I don't know, just to have that ability to switch around on the fly and kind of like build the sounds, and then, the RGM is good for that.
So I'm imagining the setup is like, it's all in a rack type system, even if you're using pedals, you're probably like the brain kind of RJM rack brain where everything patches in. It's like a patch bay basically. And then
There's 2 of those, and then all the effects and amps are run into those different patches.
Drawers underneath, yeah.
Yeah, and then all the pedals are stacked in drawers and connected in the rack, and then it's just a MIDI controller board that's out on stage, and there's a volume pedal and like an
EQ.
G7 like EQ pedal to use as like a boost if you just need to get a little more signal overall. And that's it, the controller. And then I have a controller by me too, just in case, anything happens. If that one goes down, I can sit there and control the show just as easily as he could,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there any
song by song? So
that's also why I have to keep him super happy too, because he could totally fuck with me.
Yeah. Here comes the ring mod. Like, yeah. So, are there any pedals in that rig that you would consider like, hey, if this breaks, I must get another one, like immediately? It's central to the sound of this track or whatever. Are there any that are like absolute must-haves in there?
Well, yeah, I love my Boss delay, that DM2. I like that a lot. That is, and I'll have that kind of sometimes even through like on certain songs. Like if there's not like tight palm muting, I like to have it on there because it kind of gives this almost like a digital breakup quality to some of the distortion, almost like what you hear sometimes like in utero, where you'll hear like that. I think he was using like a univibe that kind of makes the sound waves just kind of like rub against each other a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to have that on for certain songs. The Bowman overdrive is always on, dude. That thing is always on. And that to me, like, listen, I have a couple of clones. I love clones. I think that's the one thing that, like we all talk about, like, oh yeah, it just, we don't know really what it does, but when it's on, everybody likes it better. You know what I mean? And they're so expensive. But they're great pedals for whatever it is, whether it's a placebo or whether they're actually doing a whole lot. I've put it up against the Bowman overdrive, and I'm not saying this just because you're on this call, but I think you beat it.
Thanks.
That's just where I'm at. You know what I mean? I think you can do the same thing that the Klon does, or you can do more. And so I love that pedal for that reason. And by the way, this works really nice with that. So now that we're talking, this will be on there as well. Let's see. There's a lot of EQ pedals. There's like 2 or 3 EQ pedals in there.
Oh, interesting.
Just kind of like touching certain things.
They're kind of like, some of them are like stacked in one patch with another pedal to kind of, like goose it a little bit here and there. What else is in there?
I like the Crooks a lot. The Poison Ideas Crooks.
Poison Ideas.
That's a good one.
It's a lot of Boss stuff.
Yeah, honestly, that's those were like my first pedals, and I think a lot of that, like the Boss Tremor, it's a great pedal.
There's a harmonizer in there.
Oh yeah. Metal Zone.
Metal Zone. Hold on.
There's like a couple stacked Metal Zones in there.
There's a whole drawer of Metal Zone.
Get the blacked out Metal Zone right here. Yeah.
That one. That is,
dude. I love this thing.
I keep seeing that. There's like a Metal Zone watch.
I know.
Is that real?
Yeah, that was a real piece of Boss merch, and they're so expensive when you find them. There's so much. They're like more than any Boss pedal has ever been.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, all right. Seriously, like, why is the fuzz
bender?
Yeah. Why is that one so expensive still?
So
I never knew when it came out. It was like it's coming out, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's only resale, and it's like $900.
I blame that Josh guy, the JHS guy. It was during the pandemic, and he created like a whole wave of expensive. Everything's expensive.
I actually went on that show. I don't remember when it was, 21 maybe, and we talked about old Soviet pedals, stuff that I wasn't really super familiar with. We had all these old Eastern Bloc and Russian pedals.
Oh, wow.
And the next day, Josh is like texting me. He's like, "Look at this. This is ridiculous. Like all of the Soviet pedals on Reverb are like 30% more than they should have been based on one live stream. It was ridiculous."
Yeah, that's proof. He ruined it for everyone.
We got to dig around that room that day though, and that was
it's awesome. You know, I'm mostly kidding, but not really.
It's like the Smithsonian of pedals. There's that he has there that I've never seen before in my entire life.
There's some wild stuff in that room, and that's only what's on display in there. It's crazy that there's stuff everywhere. It is really cool. They're all very, very nice.
Yeah. When I was there, I was like, okay, like how many pedals are in here? And he was like, well, guess. And I said, I don't know, like 2,000 or something. He's like, there's more than 4,000.
Yeah, like, there's a lot in there.
Yeah,
he was hoping that you could kill him because he
yeah, because there's drawers and drawers and drawers. Like it's not just what's out. There's so much that you can't see. That's
exactly. Plus all the JHS stuff. I mean, and I love too that he has it like, oh no, this is like the first one, and then this is the second version, and then like it's like an encyclopedia, like a Smithsonian encyclopedia of guitar pedals and effects and stuff like that.
Yeah,
really impressive. Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, he was telling me, and it still looks like it's in the same spot. But he was talking about his big dream is to move into a bigger facility where people can actually come in, like
really?
Like the general public.
They were kind of talking about that, like opening up, like moving to a bigger, facility for it because it's really small. Like I was shocked at how small that place was.
Yeah.
Like just overall, like where they do everything, but moving to a bigger building for production and then actually having, like a pedal museum, like that would be to the public and stuff. So
would you be able to play this stuff too?
I imagine some of it, probably.
I'm sure some of it would be on display to play.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He has like the second Klon ever made, right?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And Civil War Big Muffs. I played a couple of those when I was there. Like,
there's a whole bunch of them. There's so much there. It's crazy.
it's pretty amazing. So I guess, if anybody's going to change the market for everybody, it would be him, right? Like,
it should be.
It's true.
I showed my wife his play. Again, there's always somebody that has more.
Right.
My wife. Yeah.
Don't do it.
When she's
my wife.
Okay. It's built in. You can't not say it. I showed her like when she's like, "Well, you got too many pedals. What are you doing with all these pedals?" I was like, "No. I have barely begun. Yeah. I have."
Guy has all.
Look at this. Yeah. Let me show you who has too many pedals.
Yeah. When somebody tells you have too much, you're like, "Wait a minute, not as much as this guy."
No,
you'll yell at his wife.
That's right.
Too. Because, me being gone, like, I'll buy stuff while I'm on tour and ship it home. And then, when I talk to my wife, she's like, "Oh, you got a bunch of packages today." And I'm like, "Oh, where are they from?" And she's like, "I don't know. They're all this big." And I'm like, like, "Oh, they're pedals." I know. I kind of chucked them down the stairs for you. Like, okay.
Oh, nice.
Oh, thanks. Well, Frank, since I got you here, I've told a lot of people this, and I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but I don't know if I've ever actually told you this. Let me grab something real quick.
Okay.
You're my dad.
Oh, no.
Don't let the beard fool you. I'm actually only 16 years old.
That's funny.
Is that a Roni guitar back there?
It is.
Yeah, that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the Oceana Imperial. Yeah.
Oh, right on.
Very cool.
This guitar right here.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a 81 custom. I bought this largely because of you. So.
Whoa. That's my birth year too.
Is it really? I didn't know that. Whoa.
Yeah, dude.
That's kind of trippy.
We might have to do a trade.
It's yeah, I remember like you smashing one. I think it might have been an Epiphone, but like still, I got to figure out how to safely place this.
No, do you think? Don't worry, Blake. We can cut around it.
Oh, we're leaving all of that in. And I just was like, man, I really want one of those. And then I'd see people in hardcore bands and like metal bands playing them too. And I just always wanted a white custom. And so I played, by the time I could actually afford one, I played, I don't know how many so many. And I began to think, oh, maybe I just like them aesthetically, because I couldn't find one that I really gelled with. And I've had this one for, I don't know, 8 years maybe. And I unplugged, just played it. I was like, oh, ooh, this is it. And I was like, no, be responsible. You don't need a guitar right now. You just bought one. And I left it at the store, and I kept talking about it. Talking about it. And then my wife was finally like, will you just shut up and go get the thing? Because you won't stop talking about it. I was like,
she's a good girl. That's
awesome. So I was like, all right, in the car I go, driving. And then I'm glad I did that, because the day after I bought it, I get a text from the manager of the store, and he's like, good thing you came and got it, because and I feel a little bit bad, but one of the guys from Mastodon just tried to buy it, and it was gone. And I was like, oh, well, they have enough of them. I only have one.
Good for you, man. That's a great guitar story. I love that. Yo,
yeah.
So many times I've met a guitar and been like, oh, like there's something cool about this thing, and then done the same thing. Like, no, I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to let it go. And then you think about it, and you think about it, and you think about it, and I can't let go of, and then I start thinking about like, oh, well, what songs am I leaving out in the universe, dude, that I could have written on this thing? I swear to God, I do that. It's a sickness. It really is. But all right, so there's this. Oh Jesus, there's this one, right? It was like a knotty wood Novo, and it was beautiful. You know the story I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So my friend had it, and I drooled over this guitar. I would see him post about it and play it and all this stuff, and man, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous. I would always like his posts and comment on his stuff. And then one day he was like, hey, I'm getting rid of it. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, but I replaced the pickups. I was like, do you have the originals? He's like, no, I don't. And I was like, all right. Well, I actually just spoke to Novo, and they're building me one that I'm going to use for my cam. So maybe I'm good, actually. Thank you. And I thought about it, and I hit him back up. I was like, dude, I'll take it. He's like, I just sold it.
Oh, no.
So my crazy ass tracked down the guy that he sold it to. Yeah. And turns out he sold it to a guy that was like only a state away from me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, listen, this sounds really, really weird, but I love this guitar, blah, blah, blah. You have it now. If you're ever going to get rid of it, the only person you can get rid of it to is me. Year and a half later, dude, I got a text.
That was just like a couple months ago, right?
Yeah. Dude, and it's amazing. The best part about it too is he actually replaced the pickups back to an original set from Novo, and now she's whole again.
Nice. And is it everything that you had built up in your head?
Yeah. That's like file under Never Let Go. Mm-hmm. That one never lets go. Same thing happened with. I actually ended up with a Junior that originally belonged to John Oates.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. And that one, that acquisition took what, like 4 years or 3 years or something? Yeah.
Well, that was wild too, because we were in LA for my chem rehearsals, and like a week before, like a whole week before, like we're going out there for rehearsals, and Frank's just like, I'm taking you to a show. And he's like, I'm not telling you what it is, but I bought tickets. We're going to see this show. And I was like, all right. So I was like, I'm not going to like ruin it by trying to figure out what it is. Mm-hmm. So we go to the show. It ends up being John Mayer, which was fantastic. It was a great show, but it was a great show. Before the show starts, we're like sitting there, like talking about gear and stuff, because you can see all the gear on stage before he starts playing. And then somehow this guitar just came up, right? We were talking about this Junior. He's like, oh, check this out. And he's showing me a picture of it. And then as we're like looking at the pictures, like, man, that's crazy. It's like awesome, beautiful Junior. Hall & Oates starts playing over the PA. And we're like, oh, that's funny. And then right before the show starts, he gets a message on Instagram. And it's the guy who has the guitar.
Weird.
We were just looking at, and he's like, "Hey, I'm actually gonna let it go. I'm reaching out to you first." And we were like, "What is happening?" Yeah, and then that's it. And
now file under, never let it go.
That's crazy. What year is it?
Geez, that's a 56.
56? Yeah. Yeah. So my grandpa's is the 55 that you played a few years ago.
Beautiful guitar.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's a very fond memory of mine. Watching you play that guitar was cool.
Dude, that's a great guitar, man. It really is.
I love that thing to death. And
in great condition too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he didn't play it a lot. He mostly played piano, and I think I've told this story.
Which is hard to do on a junior.
It's a little difficult. Yeah, you know. I've told this story a bunch of times on the show, but he was watching Antiques Roadshow, and somebody brought a junior out, and they were like, "Oh, it's worth $10,000 or whatever it was at the time," and he's like, "Wait a minute, I have one of those." It's just in the closet. I didn't even know he had it. I had no idea. I was like, I don't know, maybe 17 or no, I think I was 18 at the time, 18, 19. Man. And he was asking me about it because he knew I played. And I'm like, I really don't know that much about this stuff at the time. I know it's old and cool, but that's all I really know. But the tuners were crumbly and the bridge was pulled forward and all that stuff. So I took it and had it fixed for him at a local shop. Brought it back to him. I was like, here you go. Now you can play it. And he's like, how about you have it? And I was like, oh, Grandpa. Like,
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Can you pay me back for the repair? Just bought it, you know, like.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite stories, man. I love that. We're like, you know, like the pancake being found in a basement, waterlogged basement, and being resurrected again, or like, you know, the John Oates. Junior that just comes to you like when the song comes on, or like your grandfather's guitar. I just heard this other story about this 59 that Jazzmaster that was found at a what do you call it, like a swap meet or like a garage sale, and the guy was like looking to buy a case, and there was a case there, and he's like, how much for the case? He's like, $200, and he opened it, and there was the guitar was inside. He was like, there's a guitar, and she's like, $200, and it's crazy. So like that kind of stuff, like that history. I hope it's true. Whether it's not, it is or not, it doesn't matter. I think it plays into the, like the what, like
the legend,
right? Yeah, the legend of that instrument, and again into the soul of it, and just it's like playing history, and these things, they react a certain way. Like people will say like blah, blah, just get something new and it'll work just fine, and that's true. That's true. You can get up there and play, whatever your means are. But if you do have the means to get something that has that history or means something like that to you, then by all, that's what you want. You want to live with that guitar and have it in your world. Have it haunt you a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. There's something about the old guitars. Like I've played new guitars that spoke to me just as much as old guitars. But
100%.
There's something about old guitars that just, no matter if you're like planning on buying one, or if you think it's not worth the money, or whatever your view on it is, there's something cool about it. No matter what, it's undeniably cool to have an older guitar, especially like, you get anything like, I don't know, over 25, 30 years old. It's like, this thing has a story, and I don't know the whole story, but there's something interesting to this. I just got this Les Paul recording that has these weird burn marks on it. I'm like, what happened? I'll never know. It looks like a soldering iron or something maybe, but I'm like, why is there a burn mark on the pickup and like in between the pickups? Like, you didn't put your cigarette there. Like what?
No, yeah. It's like a rescue dog, man. They're the best ones. You give them a second life, dude.
That's right.
They really do. All my dogs are rescue mutts. I'm like, they're the best.
They appreciate it.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So James, we've talked a lot about Frank's guitars. Like, what have you come up with? I mean, you've been real busy.
Gold.
I do. I'm actually. It's funny you brought up that white custom. I think last time we talked, when I was on here, I talked, I think, for pretty much a solid hour about the white custom that I sold and have been searching for ever since.
Oh, that's right.
That I still haven't found, but whatever. I'll find it eventually.
It's out there.
I have another one. It's just not the same. But yeah, I like gold tops. That's pretty much it. I like Customs.
Les Paul Customs, gold tops.
Yeah, Kelly here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Did
you ever tell him the story about your signature one, the gold?
Yeah, it's funny. Like Travis has one out here now, but I had a Gibson rep for Against Me, like back in the day. It was like in between New Wave and White Crosses.
Mm-hmm.
And her name's Linda Hayden. She was awesome. She was my rep there for forever. And she was really cool with like sending out stuff. She'd be like, "Oh, I thought you might like this. Like, here, just take it out on tour. Send me a few pictures, you know?" And then we were recording in LA. We were recording White Crosses or doing pre-production or something. And she reached out and sent me a package. She was like, "Hey, this is going to show up." And I opened it up, and it was this beautiful gold top. Had like a Florentine cutaway Les Paul with a Bigsby on it. These crazy, like, parallel trapeze or trapezoid, like inlay. It's just crazy, awesome guitar. And I got it, and I called her, and I was like, "Hey, the guitar showed up. It's great." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to convince them to do a signature model." And I was like, "No way. Like, this is crazy." And she's like, "Tell me what you think, things you want to change." So like tweaked a couple of things, and she sent another one back to me. And I was like all pumped. I was like, "I can't believe this is going to happen. Like, I'm going to get, like, this is crazy. I'm going to have this like signature model guitar." And then she got fired. And the guitar, I still have two. And yeah, it just never happened. And then like the next year, I see this guitar coming out as like when Gibson did the like Guitar of the Month at the club or whatever. The guitar posted for May of 2008, and I'm like, "Huh, that looks awfully familiar." And they basically just took it and turned it into a Guitar of the Month limited edition thing. But yeah, and
it's a beautiful guitar, man.
It's a cool guitar. It ended up being the Les Paul 295.
Okay.
And they only made like 200 of them. They're hard to find.
Hey, I bet you they go up by 30% if the.
But yeah, it's cool. So that almost became a thing. But
Gibson is an interesting company, and I have like a lot of weird ties back to them now that I didn't have before. Like our head of sales there at Stringjoy, he was at Gibson for 22 years, so he has all kinds of stories about that time of the company, and to say it was chaotic is an understatement. Chaotic. Yeah.
It was super wild. And I think like some of that, like the reps there like sensed that stuff too, and if they had like a good relationship with you, they were just like, "Here you go, whatever you want," because I'm gonna lose my job anyway. So
that was very much the vibe. So many people would just get fired. Like they would they would show up, in the office, and they'd just be like, "Hey, by the way, you don't work here anymore." And they're like, "Oh, okay."
I feel like the same thing was happening at labels around that time too.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. It's kind of wild.
Big dream.
Yeah.
Nobody was safe.
No, and label. I mean, the label thing almost makes a little more sense because, like, the music industry itself was totally changing right at that moment. But Gibson Guitars was just chaotic because Henry was a chaotic man. So
he bought like Panasonic or something like that, and like they like tried to do. Yeah, they were buying up all these weird companies and trying to like integrate technology into guitars. And
this one's got a Betamax in it.
They were trying. What he was trying to do was turn Gibson not just into a guitar company. They bought
like an electronics brand, like
they bought Philips.
Philips, that's what it was.
Yeah, and a few others. I can't remember all of them. There was a bunch that were kind of under that umbrella.
We make Les Pauls and toothbrushes.
Yeah, he was trying to make it into a consumer electronics company.
That is a killer toothbrush, by the way. I love mine. Ever since I've gotten mine and been using it, I have no cavities. Just saying.
Yeah. Hey, I just got one myself. I can vouch for it. It is a legit toothbrush.
If it would have worked out, I would have a gold one.
A gold toothbrush.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gold tops, gold teeth.
That's right. But yeah, it was a really, but it ended up well, just like for the listeners mostly, that ended up being kind of their downfall, because the guitar side of the business was really strong still, and that allowed them to take on a bunch of debt to acquire those companies that they thought was going to like launch them into this like next level of the company, and it did not, because those companies
they almost I think like Fender almost bought them at one point.
That was wild.
Yeah,
that was really wild.
That is essentially how the current regime of ownership was able to take over, was because of that decision. Yeah, like a bunch of other ones too, but that was a lot of it. And don't yell at me, Gibson, if I got some of that wrong, because I love my Gibsons very deeply. I own more Gibsons than anything else, actually.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Nice.
But it is. I guess that's probably why I have paid it so close attention, because I like have a weird, maybe misguided loyalty to the brand for some reason.
I'll never forget like saving up every cent I had to buy my first Gibson SG, and it being like it was an undertaking. And then eventually when she died on stage, it was the most heartbreaking moment of my life at that point. To the effect that my father-in-law, who's now my father-in-law, but back then was just Jamia's dad to me, he built a coffin for it. I have it. I still have it in my living room. Yeah.
Really?
This is a true story.
I gotta see a picture of that. That's crazy. Yeah. That's wild. So how did it die? What happened?
Well, played a lot of shows with it, and notoriously, I think, or at least for me, the problem I would have with front loading jack plate on a SG was it would crumble inside. You know what I mean? You would hit into something or something like that. So like we kept putting more pieces of metal on it to like kind of keep it together, and then eventually I was playing somewhere. I think it was a type of stage where like there was a railing next to me, and I turned real quick, and it hit it just at the butt of the guitar, and it split it so that basically the guts just fell out of it. Like it was like, you ever see like in a movie where somebody gets cut in half and like their guts just fall out? It was like that. And then it was like it was over, and so I smashed it after that. Like at that moment, I saw it. I think I shed a tear and then smashed it.
I mean, that's not super. I mean, anything is technically repairable if you really get to it, but that is a death. That is like it's done. Yeah, that's gnarly.
She had a good run, but yeah, that was my favorite for a very, very, very long time. But then after that, I think that's when my reign of Les Paul Customs or Epiphone elitist white Les Pauls came into play, and
that
I had
makes
a bunch
sense.
of those.
Yeah, and then that's why I have this guitar.
There you go. And that really all just stems from Pete from the Souls.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
He's got the coolest.
Dude, that thing is haggard.
Dude, getting to hold that was a huge moment for me. You all right there?
Yeah. Sorry.
Getting to hold that guitar was like a huge moment for me. I've been looking at that thing aging for most of my life, it feels like, and I was like,
it's like driftwood, right?
I can't believe it's here.
Yeah.
Wild.
Like, there's something wrong with him.
I don't think I've ever seen a guitar age like that.
No, it's
in my life.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's like pH balance is all off or something.
It's like as if like the case for it is just a pond. Just hey, put that back in the pond till the next.
Yeah, we no, we don't use a road case. We use a swimming pool full of frogs.
This is my guitar, Old Greg.
So good. Well, fellas, we are nearing the end of the main episode, and we'll get into some weird stuff on Patreon. But before we sign off, that's right.
That's right.
By Patreon, I mean OnlyFans. I mean, but before we do that, want to give you guys a chance to shout out anybody you want to shout out, plug anything you want to plug. You're talking to a few thousand people right now, so the floor is yours, both of you.
Well, you want to start?
Sure. Thanks for having us. Thanks, Frank, for letting me make a pedal. Thanks, to Steve Dimadash for working out the bugs and kind of being there whenever I break things and helping me fix them. And yeah, I mean, thanks to Ash who made the artwork.
Yeah, she's amazing, man.
She's awesome. Thanks to Obscura Manufacturing for reproducing the pedals and making them all awesome. Thanks to Zach Sweeney, who's helping build some of them as we speak. And yeah.
Sweet. Definitely thanks to all those people. Thank you to James for building pedals that I love and for keeping me, afloat with all my gear and stuff like that. Thank you to Ash definitely for the art. That was like, she was like, "Oh, what do you want on there?" I was like, "I kind of want like a play on like an American traditional crybaby, but also like the guy from the baby from what do you call it? From Roger Rabbit."
Oh, okay, yeah,
that's the play there. And she did a phenomenal job. Thank you to Michael Schultz over at Fender for always keeping me in amazing stuff. Tim Dove over at Ernie Ball. He's the absolute best. I love all their strings and pedals and guitars. Scott Marceau, we're at Yamaha. Thank you so much. And all my friends out there. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for watching / listening, everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've asked you both the pizza question, so we'll wrap it up on a slightly different note because
what was the pizza question?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You guys don't remember the pizza question? It's just simply.
I mean, I do, but say it for James.
Yeah.
Man.
It was just what is your favorite kind of pizza? You know, that's a classic on this weird show of mine.
That's right.
I can go really specific, by the way.
Well, let's get into it. It's been a while.
Did I do that last time? I don't know if I did.
Well, I want to hear the question too, but
we can do both. We can do both. So let's go with the pizza question since it's fresh on the brain. What is your favorite type? Place? Get as specific as you want to get.
Okay. Well, man, all pizza is good pizza. I don't give it like even if it's bad pizza, it's pretty damn good. I would say that my favorite is the Grandma's Pie over at Dominic's in Totowa, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. I like their regular pie as well. If you get the regular pie, you should definitely get olives on it. But the Grandma's Pie is phenomenal. It's just like it's almost like a thin Sicilian with crushed tomatoes and garlic, and then some olive oil, and then some pecorino romano, which my stomach can actually digest, which is nice. And that's it. And it's phenomenal. I could eat the entire thing.
Sounds delicious. James?
It really is.
Favorite pizza is Soprano's Pizza in New Milford, New Jersey, which is the town next door to us. That's our go-to pizza spot. Mm-hmm. They just do traditional style New Jersey pizza, and it is fantastic. They do have a drunken grandma pizza, which is very good.
Whoa, what's that?
What is that?
Sicilian with vodka sauce.
Oh, Jesus. Oh. Does the vodka sauce, though, have like prosciutto in it or not?
No.
All right, good.
Yeah. It's really good, but that's our go-to pizza spot.
We gotta try that. Yo, is it better than Pizza Town with the Sopranos poster that we tried?
That sucks. Man, it was such a disappointment.
So bad. We had like a record hunt one day, and it was like right next to Pizza Town. I was like, "Oh, we should just go to Pizza Town because that's what you do."
Diarrhea.
It was. Oh my god, dude! Yeah,
it's so bad.
Like somebody like found it in the gutter somewhere. And they're like, "Oh yeah, hold on," and they just like brushed off the rat hair. Terrible.
His guitar out of the way and pulled a slice of pizza out, and then they're like, "Here, eat this swamp pizza."
No, thank you.
But yeah.
All right. Well, the other question I was going to ask, since we, hey, I'm glad we did that anyway. But you guys have both toured a lot. You've been around the world. You've been in places that I didn't even know existed. When you're on the road, where's somewhere that you're like, oh, I can't wait to get back to wherever it is so I can eat whatever it is?
Oh, man. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's a good question, too. Mm-hmm. Well, since we're on pizza, I'll go Denver with Marquee Theater. Mm-hmm. Right? They have an Against Me pizza there.
They do. Against Me.
Really?
Awesome. It's Against Meat. And it's got veggie, whatever they put on there.
It's good.
That's delicious. I do like Market Theater pizza. I could probably think of something else. Go ahead, hit me. Wait. Sorry. If we're in California, if we're in LA, we're always at Crossroads, but also Lotus Vegan.
Yeah, Lotus Vegan is good.
Awesome. I love that place.
Yeah.
That's in like North Hollywood, I think, right? Is that North Hollywood? But like Lancaster?
Yeah. Studio City adjacent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm in Richmond right now, Richmond, Virginia. There's a Jewish deli here, restaurant. It's called Pearlie's. That's where I just had brunch there. It was fantastic. And it's always a treat when I come to Richmond.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Also, Guar Bar in Richmond.
Guar Bar is right down the street. Don't let the stack of fake books fool you. The Guar Bar is close.
And on that tip, I would say Kuma's also in Chicago.
Yeah. Kuma's
Yeah.
Good stuff. Right on.
Yeah. We had this thing against me touring where we would try, like, it didn't matter what country we were in, we would try to find Mexican food.
That's dangerous.
It was really dangerous. But Budapest had the top-notch worst. It's like beans and rice, and it was like, I don't even know. And the taco was like in a piece of bread with it was, it was really weird. It was really strange, but yeah. So
I guess color me not shocked on that one.
Yeah,
though,
we weren't expecting anything great, but it was like we got to go try it, and
yeah.
Oh, I got two more. I gotta say.
One, sweet.
Gainesville, Reggae Shack.
It's closed.
No, why?
Went out of business.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's gone.
That's sad. We'll talk about that later. Okay.
We'll talk
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. So then my last one, I guess, is San Diego, the Waffle Spot.
Okay. Nice.
All right.
This is a bunch of stuff that I've never heard of before. So
Dude, best.
Putting stuff on the list. All right. Well, fellas, you want to slide over to Patreon, see what kind of shenanigans we can get into?
Sure.
All right.
Do I take my shirt off now? Is that
Now you have to. Yes.
I hope so. Yeah. That's what I'm insinuating. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. For Frank and James, this is Blake, and as always, folks, good luck and good tones. Alrighty, folks, there you have it. There's another episode in the can. If you enjoyed this one, please consider supporting the show on Patreon because there's a lot more content over there. For just $5 a month, you can get access to the extended versions of these wonderful episodes, including this week's where we get super weird and we talk about some costumes that Frank encountered that should not have quite turned out the way they did. Let's put it that way. We get really weird. We talk about some crazy stuff. I think you're going to enjoy it very much, and those happen every single week over on Patreon. So if you like this show and you'd like more, there are so many bonus episodes. So please check that out if you're able. Make sure you check out the Bellyacher on James's website. The link for that will be down in the description, and I think you should all pick one up because this thing rips. I'm going to be making a little demo for it as well, so make sure and check out the Bellyacher. Yes, good stuff. All right, folks, thank you so much. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I gotta go. I need some tacos. All right, later.